In the midst of one of history's most profound and poignant moments, a figure steps briefly into the narrative, a man whose name is spoken only a handful of times, yet whose actions have resonated across centuries. Simon of Cyrene, a name that may seem minor in the grand tapestry of the Passion, is in fact a powerful symbol of unexpected service, compassion, and the transformative power of a single act of obedience. To understand Simon's story, we must set the scene in first-century Jerusalem. It is the time of Passover, and the city is overflowing with pilgrims from across the Roman Empire. Among them is Simon, a man from Cyrene, a city on the northern coast of Africa, in what is now modern-day Libya. Cyrene was home to a large Jewish community, and it's likely that Simon, a devout Jew, had journeyed hundreds of miles to worship at the temple during this sacred festival. The Gospels of Matthew, Mark, and Luke each record Simon's encounter with Jesus. As Jesus, beaten and exhausted, staggers under the weight of the cross on the way to Golgotha, the Roman soldiers, impatient with the slow procession, seize Simon from the crowd. Mark's Gospel gives us a little more detail, telling us that Simon was the father of Alexander and Rufus, suggesting that his family was known to the early Christian community. In that moment, Simon's ordinary pilgrimage is interrupted, and he is thrust into the center of the Passion narrative. Why Simon? The Gospels do not tell us precisely why he was chosen, but we can imagine the scene. The streets are crowded, emotions are running high, and the Roman soldiers are determined to maintain order. Perhaps Simon's appearance set him apart, a foreigner, perhaps physically strong from his travels. Or perhaps it was simply chance, a matter of being in the wrong place at the wrong time, or, as some would say, the right place at the right time. Regardless, Simon is compelled to carry the cross for Jesus, an act that, though forced, becomes one of profound significance. Historically, the act of carrying a condemned man's cross was a mark of shame, reserved for criminals and outcasts. To be associated with such a fate would have been humiliating, even dangerous. Yet Simon accepts the burden. We do not know his thoughts or feelings in that moment. Was he resentful, frightened, or compassionate? Did he know who Jesus was, or understand the gravity of the moment? The Gospels are silent on these questions, leaving us to ponder the mystery of Simon's heart. Yet, it is precisely this silence that invites us to reflect on the spiritual symbolism of Simon's role. In carrying the cross, Simon becomes a living illustration of discipleship. Earlier in his ministry, Jesus had said, "If anyone would come after me, let him deny himself and take up his cross and follow me." Simon, quite literally, takes up the cross and follows in Jesus' footsteps. His act is not voluntary, at least at first, but it becomes an act of solidarity, of sharing in the suffering of another. For early Christians, Simon's story carried deep meaning. He is seen as the first to bear the cross after Jesus, a symbol of the call to share in Christ's suffering and to serve others selflessly. The mention of his sons, Alexander and Rufus, in Mark's Gospel, suggests that Simon's family became prominent in the early church, perhaps transformed by this encounter. Tradition holds that Simon himself became a follower of Jesus, his life forever changed by the burden he bore, if only for a short distance. But Simon's story is not just about ancient history. It speaks to us today, in our own journeys of faith and humanity. His experience reminds us that acts of service are often unexpected and sometimes unwelcome. We may find ourselves called to help in moments of inconvenience or discomfort, to bear burdens that are not our own. Like Simon, we may not fully understand the significance of what we are asked to do. Yet, in accepting these moments, we participate in something greater than ourselves. Simon's act also challenges us to see the suffering of others. In a world where it is easy to turn away from pain and injustice, Simon's willingness to step into the path of suffering, whether by choice or by circumstance, calls us to empathy. It is a reminder that compassion is not always comfortable, but it is always transformative. By carrying the cross, Simon enters into the story of salvation, becoming a witness to both the agony and the hope of the Passion. There is also a message of transformation in Simon's encounter. What began as an interruption becomes a moment of grace. The cross, a symbol of shame and death, becomes for Simon a sign of new life and purpose. His story invites us to consider how moments of interruption and inconvenience in our own lives might be opportunities for growth, for deeper faith, and for unexpected blessings. In the centuries since, Simon of Cyrene has inspired countless reflections, artworks, and meditations. He stands as a patron of those who serve quietly, who bear burdens not their own, who step forward in moments of need. His story is a reminder that greatness is often found in simple acts of obedience and compassion, in the willingness to carry the cross, whether for a friend, a stranger, or even an enemy. As we reflect on the Passion narrative, Simon's brief but powerful role invites us to ask ourselves, how do we respond when called to serve? Are we willing to bear the burdens of others, to step into moments of pain and uncertainty? Can we see in these moments the possibility of transformation, both for ourselves and for those we serve? Simon of Cyrene's story is not just a footnote in the gospel. It is a call to action, a challenge to live lives of empathy, service, and faith. In carrying the cross, Simon reminds us that the path of discipleship is often unexpected, sometimes difficult, but always filled with the possibility of grace. His legacy endures, a testament to the power of a single act of compassion to change the course of history, and to change our own hearts as well.
Thank you for watching this video. If you found the content meaningful, don't forget to like and subscribe to the Faith and Glory channel, so you won't miss out on more inspiring videos about faith and life values. See you in the next video!